This is going to be a shit show. Today it might actually fit the topic. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessie Tentu and today we're going to call out a big YouTuber. I'm talking about Mr. Beard. He's an American commentary, satire, comedy YouTuber. And Mr. Beard called the video, Trisha Paytas is an actual Nazi. Actual Nazi. Okay, with this thumbnail. For the people that are new here or just tune in to hate watch because I call out Mr. Beard, I am German, probably have heard a little bit about our country's history. I think it's an important topic. I take this very seriously. This is day 2, Jessie. I will pop up throughout the video. First of all, yes, this video might seem like I defend Trisha. I don't. This video is about explaining why the label Nazi is false, why the conclusions are dishonest, and the fact that Trisha is the person we're talking about doesn't change anything, and we have to look at those statements isolated because all of these examples are compiled over the course of more than 10 years. And I would argue that over the course of 10 years, if that's all he found, that's not how you come to conclusions logically. I'm not saying how someone should feel. If you feel offended, you're totally valid. If you think she's an anti-Semite, totally valid. I would disagree. I agree that she said anti-Semitic things, but I don't think that makes one necessarily an anti-Semite. I know the popular belief, especially in the US, is that if you say a word, then you are a Nazi, but that's not how it works in the rest of the world. I would say let's jump right in.
In my opinion, there are two options for who Trisha really is. Either she is just a troll who uses anti-Semitism to stir up controversy and grow her platform, or she's an actual covert Nazi. Whichever one it is, she has unquestionably used anti-Semitism for her own personal gain.
Interesting. So do you, right? Because you put Nazi, actual Nazi in the title and call her
actual Nazi, basically Hitler with blonde long hair.
With the swastika flags in the background and all of that. That is just to evoke an emotional response in the viewers like me. I was triggered just from that thumbnail because you clickbait something that is known to be the worst a human can be. If you would have been honest in all of this and not trying to profit off of this tragedy, you would have just said, hi, Trisha Paytas is anti-Semitic. And now to start off, I will show you some of his claims that pop up throughout the video, but I want you to take note of them because throughout the video you can just see if these claims are true, and in the end we will compare our results of that little experiment. And I compiled some quotes of German politicians that are very right-wing but not classified as Nazis or neo-Nazis, which is the correct term, but we'll get into that.
Trisha Paytas is one of the most openly anti-Semitic creators on YouTube. Over the years, she has consistently spread actual Nazi rhetoric, things that she has said that are directly in line with the messaging of the Nazi Party. It is time to prove how Trisha Paytas legitimately hates Jewish people.
Impressive! Not even 30 seconds into the clips of you, and I can already, I can smell, I can taste the defamation lawsuit. This will be popping up throughout the video that he will say,
actual Nazi rhetoric.
And the actual Nazi rhetoric is,
Hitler couldn't have been that bad because so many people follow him.
actual Nazi rhetoric. The labels of Nazi or anti-Semite are very important because they are different. It's like if you have HIV or cancer. Both are potentially lethal and both make you really, really sick. But they are different and they need different treatment. And that's the same with Nazis or anti-Semites. They're both diseases and they're both disgusting and hateful, but one is not the other. And because I know he disagrees, because he disagreed with me when I called him out on Twitter, I just Googled a little bit. And the second result I found was from the Times of Israel. No, neo-Nazis are not Nazis either. They're neo-Nazis. The word Nazi should be reserved solely for those responsible for the tragedy that necessitated the Holocaust Memorial Day. Furthermore, it's my opinion that seeking the promotion of their ideology, no matter how evil one's actions or rhetoric, does not a Nazi make. The correct term for such a person is in fact neo-Nazi. Over the course of millennia, anti-Semitism has been embodied in a tragic, unending myriad of ways and will not cease to exist. Anti-Semitism does not equal and is not limited to Nazism, a specific term referring to only one such chapter in history of the Jewish people. So the term Nazi is not referring to everyone who is anti-Semitic. That's not how it works. It's a very specific term and it's devaluing the Holocaust.
First, I think it would be good to establish how we can't believe anything that Trisha says.
That's where your video should have ended, because we can't believe anything Trisha Paytas says, because she's a troll. Either you believe everything she is saying, therefore she must be a Nazi, or she's a pathological liar and you can't believe anything.
But somehow she's been able to convince many people that it's not that serious by constantly playing dumb.
You just found out about the Holocaust?
I had no idea.
This is a complete lie.
I really love movies and books about the Holocaust.
What? Trisha Paytas? A liar? I can't believe this is happening right now. Oh, what I'm going to do with my life. It's Trisha Paytas.
I tweeted, do dogs have brains? Because I seriously wanted to know.
The idea that a geneticist wouldn't know that dogs have brains or understand basic scientific concepts like gravity or climate change is completely ludicrous.
Just let me get this straight. You sit here in your chair, having researched for months, whatever, and try to prove that Trisha Paytas is a liar and that you can't believe anything she says by using something she said in a video where she was trolling and taking it literal. It's just one Google search and you would find that her highest education level is high school. Did you do research?
I'm also mostly not going to focus on her cultural appropriation of Jewish culture.
Don't you think that people would be way more offended if she would have a Jewish boyfriend, fiance, now husband, and not take part in his traditions or religion or just ethnic culture? If she would just sit there,
I'm Christian.
People would be so offended, right? And if she takes part in it, you get offended too. My boyfriend is Christian. I don't believe in God. If he would ask me and say, hey, would you please convert so it will be easier? I would do it because I don't care. But I know it would make him happy.
At one point, her and Moses broke up briefly, and when this happened, she said that she was done with Judaism. It seems to me like you probably never actually had those religious beliefs, and this was all just an act to create controversy and capitalize off of Jewish people.
Of course, would she stop then? I mean, I would do the same. If I would convert to a religion for my boyfriend and we would break up during the process, I would stop too. It's not as serious for everyone, and that's not offensive. First of all, I know many people have different ideas about stereotypes, but one thing we should agree on, and I know popular opinion is something different, stereotypes are not inherently racist, anti-Semitic, whatever. Stereotypes are just overgeneralizations. That's it. They can be accurate. What? And they're not harmful as long as people don't expect people to fulfill these, or if they're not used to make a racist, anti-Semitic point. But otherwise, stereotypes are nothing bad. And if you're offended by just stereotypes in general, click off this video because it doesn't make sense talking to you.
Has called Ethan money hungry with absolutely no evidence.
I know you're all about the money, and not just because you're Jewish.
And you called her Nazi throughout this thing without actual evidence, because all of it or most of it is disproven by saying context. And yes, it's opinion. That's my opinion. My opinion is that most of it, yes, offensive, but not anti-Semitic. Some of it, like the trolling, is considered anti-Semitic because she still said those things. I don't think she holds these beliefs, but again, you're free to disagree. And if you think it's offensive and anti-Semitic, call her an anti-Semite. Totally fine, totally valid, but she's not a Nazi. So do you know what they do in private? Because it seems like you do. Because yeah, she said, oh, you're all about the money. That can be said for so many YouTubers. If I know a Jewish person and they're money hungry, and I will tell them, I'm not anti-Semitic. You are anti-Semitic because you think that's because they're Jewish. We need to take a little bit of a step back and think about, okay, not everything someone says is anti-Semitic, even if you don't like them. What? Yeah, so if you are not sure about a conclusion, apply the same standard to a different situation, and most of the time you will see that it's not racist or anti-Semitic or whatever. It's just a personal opinion, which is valid. You can be offended. You can even say it's anti-Semitic, even though I disagree, but you cannot say Nazi.
Contradicting herself.
Like, what's the stereotype about Jews? Like, my cheap Jew boyfriend with a big nose. I don't say that.
Jewish people are cheap.
I like the stereotypes of, like, their noses.
That's not plain anti-Semitism to say, oh, I like the stereotype of their noses because I think it's attractive. It's not anti-Semitic, but it doesn't mean that she thinks every Jewish person has to have a big nose. That would be considered anti-Semitic. But people think in categories, and people make it worse by playing into this overly offended culture, like,
how dare you say the sky is blue? Don't you think about blind people?
That's the climate today. There is nuance to things. It might be that those TikToks were made to trigger people a little bit with their actual situation, because it's not anti-Semitic to post about you're not able to convert, but you can pay for it, because it's a service offered by rabbis. Are they anti-Semitic for doing it? No. Where's the problem? You guys just want to get offended. Even if you think it's anti-Semitic, not a Nazi. So this was just the warm-up. Now we're getting into the meat. Trishas Abuse. That is what he called this part. Trishas Abuse.
Trisha has called Jewish men assholes, has said Jews are traditionally unattractive, has called Jews cheap.
So it's anti-Semitic to say that a group of people are assholes? No. Calling a group of people assholes is not offensive, even if that group of people are Jewish people. As with traditionally unattractive, because beauty standards, they change. Even from culture to culture, they change. In a different culture, they are
It
wanting
totally
to be in
is.
the upper echelon of the world.
Now, she didn't just say Jews are rich, she said they're in the upper echelon. The phrase upper echelon is the kind of thing that Nazis say. Your average person wouldn't use the phrase upper echelon unless they had been exposed to actual Nazi conspiracy theories.
What? Hey. Just because you don't know that word doesn't mean anyone else doesn't know. Okay?
The conspiracy theory that Jews are in the upper echelon of the world and that they control all of the world's finances.
The Jewish people want to be upper class. That's not anti-Semitic to say that Jewish people want to be in the upper echelon to control the world and hoard all of the money. That's anti-Semitic. And that is the context of upper echelon and the conspiracy theory. But without the conspiracy theory, it's just upper echelon.
Trisha needs to take responsibility for her own actions. Spreading Nazi propaganda like this to millions of people does irreparable harm to Jewish people. Impressionable viewers of Trisha's content might say to themselves, I wonder what Trisha meant by saying that Jews are in the upper echelon of society. Well, if they go on the internet and search for the answer to that question, the place where they will find the answer is Nazi message boards. And before you know it, you have helped radicalize someone into being a Nazi.
I will link the video here, but I get a little bit Belle Aubrey vibes from you, Mr. Beard, because even if it wouldn't be her responsibility that some kid doesn't know how to Google. But apparently there's so many adults that don't know how to Google, but so the youth is lost.
I'm going to be focusing on the things that she has said that are directly in line with the messaging of the Nazi Party. However, Trisha has also insulted Israel.
This is why we're not all equal.
Okay,
This is
why don't you just go to...
superior,
Okay,
we're not judgmental here. I mean, there's a reason people leave Israel. They don't stay there.
And let me repeat that one more time. She said that America is superior to Israel. That is just one step removed from saying white people are superior to Jewish people.
I'm done. I'm done. There's nothing more to say. Nothing. It's a shit show, good sir. You know why? I can't believe I have to tell this to a grown man. If people leave their country, oftentimes it is because they want to go somewhere they like more. Let's read a little definition about what is anti-Semitism. And the definition is not a dictionary definition. It's a document compiled by the Romanian chairmanship from 2016 and the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance. Manifestations might include the targeting of the State of Israel, conceived as a Jewish collectivity. However, important, criticism of Israel similar to that leveled against any other country cannot be regarded as anti-Semitic. Interesting. So according to them, critiquing the State of Israel is not necessarily anti-Semitic. So what did Trisha say? That the US is better than Israel. She said it in a bad way, but superior, that's what it means. America better than Israel. You saying that she means the race of Jewish people and white people makes you anti-Semitic because you equate Jewish people to the whole state of Israel. Part one. Part two, you know that's half of American culture, thinking you're better than the rest of the world, right? So this point, as most others, dishonest.
Because you know who else thought that their country was superior to Israel? I'm going to be focusing on the things that she has said that are directly in line with the messaging of the Nazi Party.
Hey,
No,
I
I know,
love Jewish men so much. Like, that's
I
all I
know.
go for. They're so hot.
Actual Nazi rhetoric.
That's actual Nazi rhetoric. That's completely directly in line with the NSDAP, their ideology. I can literally imagine Hitler and Goebbels. Mein Führer? Are you okay? What are you thinking about? Jews. I don't like them. They're assholes. Yeah, right. And they have big noses. Yeah, right? But they're so hot. I know, right?
In the very first episode of Frenemies, she says that she sees Moses as her Middle Eastern toy.
He's like a toy. It's like, oh, I got a Middle Eastern, you know?
Oh my god.
Please pause for a second, go in the comments and just guess. Why is it offensive to call your boyfriend a toy? Because I call my boyfriend sometimes as my toy.
This is the problem with fetishizing other races. Fetishizing them dehumanizes them. When you reduce a person to only focusing on your sexual attraction to that person, you start seeing them as a toy instead of as a human being. And when you don't see someone as a human being, you're likely to start reducing them to racist stereotypes. And when you reduce people to racist stereotypes, you're more likely to start seeing yourself as superior to them. And thinking you're superior to other races leads you to abusing them. Trisha openly admitted to physically assaulting Moses.
What? You know that is a reach, that must be world record. Call the Guinness Book of World Records, because that's the farthest reach I've ever heard. Because she says, oh, you know, he's my Middle Eastern toy, that means she hates Jewish people so much that she physically assaulted him. I don't want to defend any assault. Violence in any shape, way, or form has nothing to do in a relationship. I know that because I was in an abusive relationship. How do you know she assaulted him because he was Jewish? Or is it maybe that she's just a shitty person? I can remember correctly. There are multiple exes of Trisha calling her out for that behavior. Not everyone was Jewish. That's not how anti-Semitism works, you f***ing idiot. I get so worked up by this because you devalue the word Nazi. By calling someone like Trisha Paytas a Nazi, it's ridiculous to call actual Nazis Nazis. Because if she is a Nazi, all of these people dying in the Holocaust, they didn't die. Because if she's a Nazi, something isn't adding up with the Holocaust, right? You disrespect everyone that has suffered during the Holocaust, World War II, or till this day has to endure actual anti-Semitism. Just because you hate someone doesn't mean you can label them as what you want. Because you are taking my country's history to fit a fucking narrative about a vlogger. Are you fucking kidding me? It's about intent. Okay? If you give Jewish people a negative characteristic because they're Jewish, that's anti-Semitic. If you meet a Jewish person and they have a negative characteristic and you tell them, that's not anti-Semitic. And if you cannot grasp this fucking simple concept, you should maybe delete your videos, deactivate your YouTube channel, and reevaluate why the hell you think you could go online and try to push narratives and fucking stupid opinions without thinking about it. Why do you think you have the right to do that? Because you're white, you're American, and you have you have obviously no idea about the Holocaust, Nazis, their ideology, anti-Semitism, Jewish people. You just don't have a fucking clue. Because I was in concentration camps. In Germany, when you have the opportunity, you will go into a concentration camp with your class and your teacher because they want us to know, they want us to see what's happening. I was there. I was in front of these huge ovens where they burned all of these bodies. And I stood outside of that building and looked at that huge sign, looked at that picture with a huge pile of dead bodies right where I was standing at that moment. You have no idea how that feels, knowing that the country you grew up with, the country you're still proud of, because in that little time, we changed so much. And then a fucking American that, I don't know, in the last 500 years since the slavery, didn't learn much apparently about racism, anti-Semitism, or whatever, you sitting there and using my country's history because you don't like Trisha Paytas. How the fuck dare you?
Years ago, Trisha posted a video called My Thoughts on Hitler. This entire video was dedicated to her giving excuses for why she thinks Hitler wasn't that bad.
Hitler can't be all bad if he had this big following. Fact. Germany got out of depression. I did.
In my opinion, this is obviously one of the videos Trisha would consider her trolling videos.
Are you really sitting there acknowledging that that's just a fucking trolling video where she says,
I didn't even know World War II came after World War I. I knew nothing about World War III.
And act like, haha, caught her red-handed in a lie. That's trolling for you. That's trolling. Mel Gibson is apparently a fundamentalist and has a weird church that are anti-Semitic. I didn't know that because I don't care, but that's the thing. Trisha said that she knew him, and I would assume that she probably lied because it's Trisha Paytas, but he has found something, and that proves that Trisha is an anti-Semite.
In 2010, she released a song called My Love Song to Mel Gibson, which is just brilliant.
This song is for Mel Gibson, who I love more than anything.
Yeah. 10 years ago or 9 years ago, she made an obvious troll video. Come on, saying,
Mel Gibson, this is for you.
That's trolling.
In 2014, Trisha tweeted, Mel Gibson has a tiny penis, which might imply that she eventually ended up having sex with this anti-Semitic domestic abuser.
I will read you some quotes of German politicians that aren't classified as Nazis. One of them is, by court, allowed to be called fascist. These are real quotes of real politicians, some of them now excluded from the party, but most of them still part of the party. And yeah, not even they are considered actual Nazis. Humans like these, we must deposit off, like trash. That's what he said. To put it simply, evolution has given Africa and Europe two different reproductive strategies. You just have to remember World War II, our own history. What have we done with the Jews? There were also possibilities. There's no need to exaggerate, but soon nothing else will be possible. The refugees don't leave voluntarily. We Germans, that is, our people, are the only people in the world who have planted a monument of shame in the heart of their capital. He's referring to the memorial of the Holocaust. The big problem is that Hitler is portrayed as absolutely evil. But of course, we all know that there's no black and no white in history. And he isn't a troll. He's a politician that holds these views. If the AfD, the Nazi party, if the AfD fails, it's just fine if you have a cupboard full of guns and an ammunition box in the garage. You can F nicely on a jumping castle like that. Hundreds of children and their families stand around the bouncy castle and watch. Then the kids all want to play along. Such a beautiful 10-year-old butthole is certainly pretty tight. That's one that was excluded. but still, this is a real quote. All of Africa is not worth the healthy bones of a single German grenadier. Antifa, right into the concentration camp. Homosexuals in prison, we should do it in Germany too. I would never judge someone who lights on fire a home for refugees. I want to piss on dead bodies and to dance on graves. And the Hitler greeting. I really wish for a civil war and millions of dead. Women, children, I don't care. This was where a neo-Nazi woman, she wanted to get out of the Nazi community and was recruited to go undercover. She met up with the official spokesperson of the AfD because he said, the worse things are in Germany, the better for the AfD. Of course, that sucks also for our children, but that will probably keep us going. We can always shoot them all afterwards. That is not an issue at all, or gas them, or whatever you want. These are different quotes of German politicians that are mostly not classified as neo-Nazi, which is the correct term, by the way. So tell me now, Mr. Beard, do you think Trisha's statements are as harmful, hateful, and disgusting as those quotes? Because I don't. Actual Nazis, just in the Holocaust, not talking about the world wars, just within the Holocaust, they killed 6 million people. If you want to put into perspective how many this is, if you would be silent for 1 minute for each victim of the Holocaust, you would have to be silent for 11 years. So you comparing Trisha Paytas to those people is disgusting and a spit in the face to every single victim. And using situations like using a word to come to the conclusion she's a Nazi or that she is a domestic abuser, using as proof for her being a Nazi is dishonest, disgusting, and just f***ing insane. How so many people could approve of his video thinking,
oh, that might be the video of the year.
Bullshit. You guys are biased little fucks. To conclude this video, I think it's incredibly dishonest and disgusting to label her as a Nazi, because neither the definition of the word Nazi, nor neo-Nazi, nor the definitions of anti-Semitism from Jewish sources agree with you. Many of the conclusions you came to are very dishonest and border purposefully lying. That's not how you come to conclusions. Again, if you feel offended, if you think she's an anti-Semite, go for it. Totally fine. I personally would disagree. She's still a fucking stupid person. I don't like her. And the way she spreads information is irresponsible. And her having this size of a platform, I don't think is very good as well. But she's not a Nazi. And you devaluing this word is disrespectful, because I as a German have a responsibility that I take very seriously. And that is not only to speak up against anti-Semitism and racism, but as well to speak up if someone tries to abuse and appropriate words of my country's history to fit a narrative. And that's all you did. You've proven it so often, because no one else would come to the conclusion that someone is hating the Jewish people because someone said,
oh, he's my Middle Eastern toy.
That's a reach. So much of your video is just a reach, and it's not okay. Please let me know what you think down in the comments. I know this will be a tricky topic and I will probably get some shit for it, but that's fine. I think we should promote environment and atmosphere on social media where we can disagree without sending a shitstorm. It's opinion. Opinions are there to disagree, and that is something we have to learn again. So thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe down below, because shit show will keep going. If you have any question, please let me know down in the comments. I really appreciate each and every one of you. And if you don't want to send a public comment, send me an email. I totally try to answer to everyone. I don't get that many messages. I'm just a fucking mess. But as you probably could tell during this video, this is very important to me. And yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments. Please be respectful. I don't want to have any anti-Semitic racist comments, because I will delete this. And otherwise, I really appreciate you watching the video. Thank you so much. See you in the next one. Bye!